Hi, joining me now is Michele Byington. Michele is with U.S. Law Shield. She received her J.D., Juris Doctorate, from South Texas College of Law in 2010. She also was admitted to the Texas Bar in 2010, and she went to Texas A&M, member of the Phi Sigma Alpha Honor Society, and again is joining me to talk about, well, now the latest nonsense, as I said, which is going on the House floor. Morning, Michele. How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
How are things out there in Texas?
Oh, they're wild, just like everywhere else in the country.
Yeah. So I'm glad you got a good disposition about it. And I'm glad we have young people that are out there advocating, and in particular, it's interesting to see how many young women from the people such as yourself, and I had another young woman on from Texas Law Shield last week, and we have Alexandria Kincaid, so I feel hopeful that the next generation will protect our Second Amendment rights, but boy, it's getting crazy. And as I was promoting you, I said, you know, the House nonsense reminds me of Baltimore. If you can't get your way, you act disruptive. You don't follow the law, you follow your emotions, and you demand the justice you want, not what the law or the Constitution require. And that's what my perception is of the nonsense going on in the United States House right now. What do you think?
Absolutely. This is not a third world country. We are based on laws, on law and order, and there is a proper process for things to happen. And when that process happens, and you're on the losing side of it, now we're throwing a temper tantrum. They look like children who just didn't get their way.
It's also interesting that we are so divided in this country that they instantly wanted to use this to take away Second Amendment rights. We had one congressman who said the Second Amendment is outdated and needs to change, and and Americans don't want it anymore. I don't know where he's coming up with that statement, but he did say it. I'll find his... here it is, Mike Doyle, Democrat, PA. We must change the Second Amendment because the American people are against it. What Americans? I'm not against it. You know, so it's frightening. But I see Orlando as a terrorist act, and you know, all those other places as terrorist acts. You know, whether it be San Bernardino or whatever, they see them as a gun issue, and not because they actually see them. They see what they really see as opportunity.
Absolutely. This is a political opportunity for them, and they're taking advantage of the Orlando terrorist attack. And I was watching earlier on the news that the ruckus that's going on in the House right now, Louis Gohmert attempted to say this is an radical Islamic terrorist issue. This is not a gun issue. And they just kept chanting over him. Like, they're not even willing to hear. And it really goes to show on Monday when these four bills went to a vote, there was one bill that was a compromise. It was a political compromise bill, and it was introduced by Senator John Cornyn from here in Texas. And it was a compromise. It gave the Democrats a little bit of what they wanted, and it gave the Republicans a little bit of what they wanted. And when it got voted down, that's when it was like, okay, they're not willing to compromise on anything. It is all or nothing. This is going to be an attempt for a gun grab from these people. But
what's bothering me is there should be nothing being offered by anyone.
Correct. I agree.
Even Cornyn, because this is not a gun issue. It's a terrorism issue. There are enough laws on the books. Those were all broken. It was a gun-free zone. That didn't stop them. You know, and the list goes on. And I am just disturbed that we have so many people that are willing to sit there and jump to the front of the line, Republicans included, because they're, I guess, worried about re-election or whatever, or looking concerned, that they immediately jump to the front of the line and want to make this about guns. It really is absolutely disturbing. It was not about guns. It's about a nut job. It's a guy that passed 4 background checks because he worked for the government. They missed it. The FBI missed it. And you think a law, you think ink on paper is going to stop them. It's not.
No, and that's the thing, is these laws that they're introducing, like, okay, background checks for every gun transaction. That wouldn't have that wouldn't have changed Orlando whatsoever. More laws are not the answer. Enforcement of the laws we have is the answer, because there's already laws in the books that felons can't get guns, or mentally disturbed people can't get guns. These are already on the books. We just need to enforce them. This guy slipped through the cracks, and the only way that this nut job would have been stopped was a good guy with a gun.
Yeah, and nobody had a gun. You know, Kim, well, I call him one dumb son, Kim Jong-un in North Korea is threatening to, well, he says he successfully fired another missile, and he's saying it can reach some United States forces. And I said, well, the answer to simply declare it a missile-free zone.
There you go. Beautiful. See, now you're thinking like the Democrats.
Yeah, it's a missile-free zone. You can't do that. It's missile-free. It's just so you watch this. Now there's a compromise bill that gets voted on today in the Senate, and that is with Susan Collins. And I didn't get to read all of her bill. Have you gotten to look at that?
I have not had that opportunity either.
I have a funny feeling. So the other day I had someone on, constitutional expert, Byron, I don't know, attorney Byron Henry, constitutional scholar and attorney, and he said, well, you know, he said, I'm optimistic because even if something passes the Senate, it's got to pass the House, and it won't. Well, he spoke too soon, because I'm watching the shenanigans in the House, and they're going to yell and scream, and Republicans will become intimidated. They don't know how to stand up to this president. They don't know how to stand up for their principles. I don't know. What say you?
Vote. Get out there and vote and put some pressure on your elected official. I'm represented by Ted Poe. I called Ted Poe's office and let my voice be heard.
Yeah, let me just give you the numbers for your senators, because it's today, and that would be Casey in Washington. His Washington office is 202-224-6324, 202-224-6324, and for Toomey it's 202-224-4254, 202-224-4254. Boy, you know, the other thing that's very concerning, in Pennsylvania, we had an election last year, and the Republicans were so busy trying to defeat a Tea Party guy in either Bucks or Montgomery County that they spent like $1 million trying to beat him. Meanwhile, that money could have been spent for the United States, for the state courts, for this the appeals court, and for the Supreme Court. And they got Democrats in. So a law in Pennsylvania just got overturned. I can read that to you in a little bit, a gun law, because the state Supreme Court overturned it. And so a ruling got overturned, I should say. And now I'm looking at what's happening at the Supreme Court, and that's very scary. And I don't know if you saw the piece at Newsmax where they're reporting that Clarence Thomas may decide to retire after this election.
Oh my gosh, that's frightening.
Huh?
That is very frightening. Well, and we can, in talking about the Supreme Court, and they declined to hear the assault weapons ban law coming out of Connecticut. What we have to remember is that does not set precedent, okay? So the fact that they said, no, we're not going to hear it, does not mean that they won't hear it
later.
Someday.
Right.
And so right now there's about a half a dozen states with similar laws with this quote-unquote assault weapons ban, and it's absolutely silly. Number one, these guns are not assault weapons. An assault weapon is a machine gun. Only military, law enforcement, and civilians may get their hands on them with federal government approval. There's a process to get these. So these are not assault weapons. These are one pull the trigger, one bullet comes out. Okay, it's just like the handgun that I carry around every day.
Yeah, you just don't have to keep reloading the gun. That's the difference. So it's it's a semi-automatic, and there are semi-automatics. They're scared of them because they look black. It looks like there are long rifles that are semi-automatic.
Oh, absolutely. The majority of them, the vast majority of these long rifles are semi-automatic. The guts are the same as a handgun.
Yes.
It's just a cosmetic thing. They look scary, so let's ban them.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to.
And then they want to... Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And the fact that the Supreme Court declined to hear that, all I can assume on that one is that they're waiting for a greater divide within the states, more states to pass. Hopefully this does not happen, but more states that pass quote-unquote assault weapons bans, and then perhaps they'll hear it, but we'll see. And the fact that Clarence Thomas is talking about retiring is frightening for those of us who are in the pro-gun world.
Concealed carry would have ended it in minutes, Gunther, if somebody had concealed carry. The Pink Pistols, LBGT, they're similar to the NRA called the Pink Pistols. They were on Fox, and they said pick on someone your own caliber. They're a LGBT group that see this as a terrorist issue, not a gun issue. They're Second Amendment people. That's kind of interesting. So here in Pennsylvania, the state decision by Pennsylvania Supreme Court voided a law, the law that was designed to make it easier for groups like the NRA to challenge local firearms ordinances. So you could have an outside group come in and sue the city. Mm-hmm. They're saying you can't do that. You have to be affected by it directly. Now, to me, I say the NRA could say, well, we are. So now that got overturned. So now two mayors, Allentown Mayor Ed Pulowski and Easton Mayor Sal Panto, say they're great, that we're gun owners, but we think it's great that they overturned it. People shouldn't have guns in city buildings, and they shouldn't. And now the one mayor is saying he doesn't want them in parks either. So great. So what is your reaction to the fact that the state Supreme Court said that the groups like the NRA could not challenge local firearms ordinances?
It's really closing your borders to outside influences, which I don't know if that's a good thing, especially when you've got organizations like the NRA and you've got these other LGBT groups who are pro-gun as well. As much help as you can get, I think is a good thing.
But how can they say that an outside group can't come in and protest a Pennsylvania law because the ACLU does that on other laws all the time? How could so I don't get how they can say this. I mean, to me, they're picking only this issue, guns. If you, so what do they say next? An outside group can't come in and protest abortions? I'm sure they'd go along with that. But if they said, the ACLU cannot come in and protest something that the mayors are for, like pick a topic, they're for a sanctuary city. I don't.
It's self-interest in politics at the end of the day. That's all it is.
So here's I was talking to somebody about this. They said they're going to try to take away our guns incrementally. So first they're saying that veterans who might have post-traumatic stress can't have a gun. Then they're saying seniors who don't know how to balance their own checkbook and have to use someone else to cash their Social Security check can't have a gun. Now, so they're going to try to take them away from different groups. If you're on the terror list, you can't have a gun. So incrementally, they're narrowing the amount of people that can have a gun. But they're now narrowing it geographically. You can't have one in a federal building. Now this mayor's saying you can't have one in a city park. So pretty soon, the only place you're going to be able to have one is in your home. So they're really taking away your rights.
Oh yeah, one little crumb at a time. They're slipping away from us, and if we're not educated and we don't know what's going on, then we're going to lose our right to carry outside of our home pretty quickly.
I don't. It might happen in our lifetime. I'm definitely concerned about it. U.S. Law Shield is where you'll find Michele Byington, my guest. Tell me a little bit about U.S. Law Shield, by the way.
U.S. Law Shield is a firearms legal services company, and what they do is they provide the members of U.S. Law Shield with education. They hold seminars. There's seminars being held in Pennsylvania all the time, so I would encourage all of your listeners to go check out gunlawseminar.com. where you'll have lawyers speak and law enforcement speak to your rights and to current gun issues. This is how we keep our rights, guys, is we stay educated and we get together and we exercise those rights together. And then more importantly, Texas Law Shield provides a lawyer if, God forbid, you have to use that firearm in self-defense or defense of others, defense of property.
So gunlawseminar.com?
Yes.
Gunlawseminar.com. All right, and again, Michele Byington, U.S. Law Shield. So we got this vote today in the Senate. We got this nonsense going on the House floor. The House is adjourned. I know this isn't your field of expertise because you're talking about guns and gun laws, but give me a prediction on how you see this nonsense in the House playing out, and any gut feeling on the Susan Collins vote, on the vote on the Susan Collins. Go ahead.
With the Susan Collins vote, I really hope that it gets voted down. Stranger things have happened, and I've been wrong before on my predictions, but I think it'll get voted down just by seeing what happened in the House on Monday. Now, with regards to the House, what a freaking circus, and I don't even know what to expect out of them this afternoon. So with that, I do not know what's going to happen.
Well,
I had more faith in our representatives, which was not a whole lot to begin with, and now with this, it's an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment to our country.
And let me just say, so the House is adjourned till after July 5th or till July 5th. I forget which it is. But so I can't picture Paul Ryan calling the House back into session. So I don't know that what happens other than they continue to do this. But if it were, listen, there are a million, I don't know pro-life, I don't want to drag you into that argument. I'm going to just do my analogy. There's a million babies we know every year aborted. If Republicans were to do what the Democrats are doing over what are being killed at the hands of doctors under the name of choice, a million babies a year are being killed. If the Republicans were to do the same stuff that the Democrats are doing on the House floor, imagine the media's coverage there. They'd be ridiculed. They'd be held in contempt. They'd be ridiculed with scorn. When Ted Cruz did his filibuster over, I believe it was the spending, he got ridiculed. But now these are brave. They're standing up for lives of the children. Yes, the same ones that you want to abort, but you want to make sure they're not killed by a bullet. You'd rather they be killed by a surgeon's scalpel. So I just would imagine the tone and tenor of the coverage were it for something that Republicans stood for. But now they're saying it's courageous when I'm viewing it as Baltimore. Again, it's to end where we started. It's Baltimore. You know what it looks like, Michele? It looks like spoiled children.
Absolutely. And I think the analogy you just drew is very, very accurate. Republicans are looked at as crazy and off balance and just looking to take rights away from people when, oh my gosh, you're trying to trample on our Constitution, and the media is not up in arms about it. And it just goes to show that, unfortunately, the mainstream news leans towards the left, and not just leans, it is very left.
Yep. All right. Well, Michele, I appreciate you coming on. Michele Byington, and again, attorney with U.S. Law Shield. Go to gunlawseminar.com, gunlawseminar.com. It was really nice to talk to you, and let's keep our fingers crossed, huh?
It sounds good. I hope to talk to you soon.
Yep, me too.